Exercise 3. Writing. Before you write, if you want to talk about a particular subject or a person to a group of people, write a speech. Якщо ти хочеш поговорити на певну тему або людину з групою людей, напиши річ свою. Brainstorm with your friends and decide what you will include in your speech about your favorite writer. Обговоріть з друзями, поділіться ідеями і вирішіть, що ви будете включати у вашу річ щодо вашого улюбленого письменника. Make a list of words and phrases you'll use to sound instructive and convincing. Зробіть список слів і фраз, які ви будете використовувати, щоб звучати конструктивно і переконливо. While you write. How to write a speech about your favorite writer. Content tips. Choose a writer you'd like to talk about. Оберіть письменника, про якого ви би хотіли поговорити. Find enough material to cover the following points about a writer. Знайдіть достатньо матеріалу, щоб охопити наступні пункти про письменника. Short biography, біографія коротка, education, освіта, a sphere of literary interests, сфера літературних інтересів, the most important books of the writer, найважливіші книжки письменника, contribution to the world literature or your country, вклад у світову літературу або у вашу країну. Organize your speech logically. Організуй свою річ логічно. Illustrate your speech with a writers or some quotes of famous people about him here. Проілюструйте свою промову висловами письменника або висловами інших відомих людей про нього або про неї. Finish your speech with your personal attitude to the writer and his books. Закінчи свою промову своїм особистим ставленням до письменника і його книжок. Underline why this particular writer is your favorite one. Підкресли, чому цей письменник є твоїм улюбленим. Пам'ятаємо, слово one замінює попередній. Це займенничок, замінює попередній іменник письменник. Language tips. I intend to give you. Я намірююсь дати вам. Я хочу надати вам інформацію. Going back, повертаючись. A brief summary of. Короткий підсумок. It's important to stress. Важливо наголосити. It's known far and wide. Відомо далеко за межами країни. Some people claim that. Деякі люди кажуть, що importantly, важливо, to pay tribute to, щоб надати належне комусь чи чомусь. To illustrate the idea I'd like, щоб проілюструвати ідею я би хотів. In the way of summing up, I'd like, підсумовуючи те, що я сказав, я би хотів і так далі. And go to page 264 for a sample speech. І переходимо на сторінку 264 для зразку. A sample speech about your favorite writer. As I am a great admirer of poetry, I'd like to present one of my favorite poets to you. It's Robert Burns, Scotland's national poet. He was born on January the 25th, 1759 in a small place, Alloway. His father was a farmer who knew the value of good education and was determined to give his children the best schooling possible. From his young years, Robert had a great thirst for knowledge. He acquired some French and Latin from his teacher and fondness for Scottish folk songs and poetry from his mother, who knew many songs and ballads which she passed on to her children. Robert began to work very early and soon became a farmer, but his farming didn't bring him pleasure or satisfaction. The young poet felt deeply the injustice of the world and protested against it in his poems. His first collection of poems in 1783 appealed to the human dignity of people, instilling in them belief in their own strength. I can name some of his early poems written in the Scottish dialect, John Barleycorn and Holy Fair and others. Robert Burns left behind him a rich heritage of folk songs in which he glorified friendship, love of life, and happiness. Reading his poetry, we feel his love to his motherland, his spirit for freedom and justice. Robert Burns died on the 21st of July in 1796 at the age of 37, but his contribution to the world literature is great. Many of his poems are translated into many languages. Some of his verses inspired Beethoven, Schumann, Mendelssohn, and other composers who wrote music to them. To pay tribute to the great Bard of Scotland, a mausoleum in his honor was raised in St. Michael's Churchyard, and the bust of Robert Burns was executed by Sir John Steele for Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. I personally appreciate this poet's literary activity because this is a brilliant example of patriotism and devotion to his country and its people. I also love my motherland, and I often quote Robert Burns in connection with the events which take place in Ukraine. Robert Burns for me is an ever-living, never-dying symbol of freedom, justice and equality of people. Читаємо, перекладаємо, виписуємо незнайомі слова з транскрипцією перекладу і готуємося завтра на онлайн-уроці читати і перекладати.